Hi, Carol here. Welcome once again to my YouTube channel and to my craft room, of course. Today I'm going to use these wonderful Zig markers and I'm going to paint directly on to this penny black image. I got this image a couple of years ago and believe it or not, I haven't used it yet. So I thought today would be a good day to present this card in two different ways. Now, you can either take your Zigs and go directly to your stamp with all the colors that you want the images to be in. Press this down just with your hand, just take it like you would if you were doing a canvas. Put it down on watercolor paper and then proceed with the water brush to color it in with all the colors you used like this. Let me show you there. I added a spritz of water to it. And I'm putting down my watercolor paper, pressing it in, and there you go. This is just a suggestion. You can go that route, but I'm going to show you how I do it using my detail black ink, and then I'm going to heat set it with clear embossing powder, and then we're going to proceed to do the Zig markers without water. From the time I bought this stamp, I knew exactly what I was going to do with it. I wanted to have this young lady here that is holding the wreath and have that wreath be three-dimensional in the sense she's putting it on a window. But I wanted to do the partial cutting, the fussy cutting along the side so that you can slide your panel, whether it be a door image die or like I use today, the window die, and we're going to slide it in. I'm going to show you how I present a card totally on watercolor paper, not using water at all. I'm going to set a base of my dark color Zig colors. Now on this dress there's only a few flowers and the rest are different leaves that represent a wreath, you know, all the evergreens and all that type of thing. So I start with my darkest color first, and this is such a simplistic image for coloring. It's kind of like one of those, like I did at the beginning, where you can do it directly onto your stamp, press it down, and use water to move the zigs around. Or you can do it like this, where you use your lighter colors to move the dark colors around. And this way you actually don't use any water. You don't have to even have watercolor paper if you don't want. You can do it directly on a nice thick card base, but look at the beautiful rich color you get if you don't add water. And I think adding the dark zigs and then moving it with the light colors like I did here gives it such a wonderful deep colored look, and it doesn't take you any time. Even though I sped this up, really this was a very fast and easy card to make. I like the idea of doing a three-dimensional card without having to fussy cut this whole image of this girl and place it in front of a window. We're just going to do the right hand side of this image, and then we're even going to emboss it. And another thing I suggest here is that you use clear embossing powder over top of your zigs. That way you don't worry about, you know, your hand getting in the way. It makes it more vibrant, look at that, than you actually had it in the first place. And that's why I use a lot of clear embossing powder in when I want a vivid look. This is a die cut that I already had pre-made out of foil paper, gold foil. If you go back in my videos, I'll put one in the description to show you how I did foil this with the Mink machine. And now I'm going to trace it out where I want to fussy cut. So I want to know just on the left hand side where this window panel is seated and how far I want to fussy cut into the wreath that she's holding and the dress. And this way it will look like the window is seated into the watercolor paper, which is thick, and then part of her dress will be on the outside. It'll give the illusion that we fussy cut the whole thing and the window is behind her, where we just did some small amount of fussy cutting to get this look, and my card base will be totally this watercolor paper on both sides. So let's begin. Place down your die, whatever it be, a door, a window, whatever die you have. Fussy cut around the place where your image is going to be on the outside of the die. In my case, it's going to be on the outside of this window. I'm sorry, I'm not really in frame for this fussy cutting. I should have looked over, but you're just going to take it and go around the edges as best you can. I'm going to leave the center of this wreath in just for stability's sake. And then I'm going to cut it on each side of where the window ends, as you'll see. And then I'm going to add some more watercolor paper to the other side, and I'm going to emboss it so it gives the illusion it's all one card base and you really didn't cut into it like we just did. Today I'm using the Fabriano 100% cotton watercolor paper I get at Michael's. And as you can see, we're going to slide this window directly underneath the image so that it looks like she walked outside of her house and she's hanging this up on the window. And to get that look, her dress obviously is on the outside. And I'm just going to do a little bit more fussy cutting to clean up the edges. I'm going to take my Copic 100 marker. I'm going to go around all the edges, remembering to keep my marker. I didn't right here. You want to be careful if you're doing it with your image looking at you, because the chance of slipping is far greater than it is if you take it and have the image facing away from you when you fill in the dark lines around it. So I've already done that, and look how sweet that looks. It looks like she walked outside. Look at, you have the full image. And then I took this embossing folder from Cuttlebug, and it had embossing down one side of each of the folder. And I like that because I was able to seat it. And I'll show you that later. I'm going to take a piece of acetate, cut it out so that the window looks like it has glass on the outside. I'm not doing any type of shaker. There it is there. See how it has images on each side? I know I sped this up or else this video would have been really long. So now I just took some 1/16 inch double-sided tape. I'm going to put it around the outside and we're going to get started. Yes, look at that. It's easy peasy. And this would make a wonderful shaker card as well. But I just wanted to show you how easy it was to make a card base, which is 6 1/4 by 7 3/4, look like one full complete card base, like running all the way across, and the window look like it's seated and she's on the outside without having to fully fussy cut her out. And there you have it, easy peasy. You can see how on each side I ran the die cut, or excuse me, the embossing folder right up to the edge. I'm going to take some Scotch tape. I'm going to tape it down from behind. That way you're not going to see it. And any lines that are in this, there you go. See how I have that? I'm going to match it up on here to match the pattern, and then I'll just cut it off. If you don't get the pattern right, you can always cut a little bit off the top, a little bit off the bottom, and make it work. So I turn it over eventually. See, I just want the patterns to match right there. And you are going to have those lines, but we're going to fill those in with Martha Stewart punch. This way you get to use those punches you don't use too often. And I had it there. I'm going to use some 1/16 of an inch double-sided tape to hold it down. And look at that, easy peasy. All you did was cut out a little section on the right hand side to make it look like it ran continually across, and you get that really nice look of it being smooth. Then I grabbed a whole lot of colors of green cardstock, my Martha Stewart punch, and cut out some evergreen leaves with it in different colors. And then we're going to seat it all over so that you're able to hide the those lines where we cut it off. And I think it's just a real easy peasy card, quick, and you just get some cardstock to match. In my case, I used red basil. Basil's that's a spice, right? Yeah, and then I grabbed this die that I had so that I could get some more of the different type of leaves. I was going to put some ribbon down to match, but I forgot that. it just didn't look right. And there's the lines I want to cover up so it looks like one continual card base. So I had this idea. I wanted to have a bird cage in the back. Yep, there he is. I want that one, he says, right there, right there. There's my little buddies. Yeah, cut that out right there, Carol. So I did. I cut out 2 little birds to match the Stampin' Up! Avery set that I put down on the acetate. And we'll do that in just a second. The nice thing about this is there's 2 little birds, and they're the exact size actually of this birdcage stamp that I had out of the Stampin' Up! Set. So I grabbed the acetate and I grabbed the die and I put the little birdcage and the birdcage holder, the stem of it, and put it on the acetate. And I cut these 2 little birds. It was just so perfect. I couldn't believe it. And then I used glossy accents to put it on the back of the birdcage. See right there? I'm stamping it on the back so that this way I can see through to know where this birdcage is going to be seated, because you want that window to look like you're looking into the house, right? She's coming on the outside of the window to hang the wreath, so you want to make sure you have a picture of the inside of the house. And I thought having that little bird cage would be perfect. So I stamped it right onto the acetate with my StazOn black. And right there. And then I used the pole to come down right like that. And then I put that on I slide it actually. I cut it off and I slide it onto the portion behind the window. Watch this, and you're never going to know that that wasn't stamped right there. I just situate it, and the crease is right behind the frame of the window, so you don't even see that. I was just thrilled. I cut this little wee set out of Christmas 6x6 pad. I grabbed my, look at that. You couldn't ask for a better placement. This way I don't have to find a little birdie to stamp on there. You get the color, you get everything. And easy peasy, you stamp it on the extra acetate. You slide it down on the edge so that that frame covers the edge of your acetate. And you've got yourself a nice bird cage. I grabbed some of my glossy accents I had on the very bottom of my jar I want to use up. I used that to put down behind the bird cage, and not only that, it makes the birds look shiny and it stands out. I slide it behind the window and make sure that both edges are behind the frame of that window, and look at that, easy peasy. So that's the glossy accents. There's the set, the Avery set by Stampin' Up. And then we're going to move forward to make this card have no edges. It's just going to run continual. I just love this look. And yeah, isn't it pretty? When you look at this, you're still going to see the seam to, yeah, there. Oh, come on, birdie. Yeah, woo. Isn't that hysterical? Oh, he's gone. You're still going to see that line through the window. So I just grabbed some of my liquid applique, which makes it look like snow, and I put it on the 2 edges, upper left, lower right, to make it look like snow, because the little bird cage handles some of the line up that from adding the extra paper, and now the snow will move in to cover the rest of it. I put some of the applique on the bottom to make sure her feet are resting on snow. And look at that. And then we're going to cover it with those leaves, and you're going to think this is one card panel with that wonderful look. Now we're back to the card base, and you're going to want to put some double-sided tape to lift this up, and kind of be careful because you have that snow applique. Yes, just a reminder. Hey, Carol, you have that snow on the other side. Don't squish it. No, so I didn't. Yes. Aren't these videos fun? That's what doing this is all about, isn't it? So now I'm going to remove it very carefully, the back on the double-sided tape, and then I'm going to add it to the basil red cardstock, and I'm going to add the red cardstock right there to the black, and now we're going to do some hiding. Yes, we want to hide that straight line that we added the embossed piece to the right. So I'm just going to put some extra leaves here, the evergreen leaves, because we are putting a wreath. Her dress is full of evergreen leaves, so let's add some different colored ones just to mask the line there. And I think it's a lovely Christmas card. I had a wonderful large Merry Christmas die I wanted to use, so that's why my card is this size, because I was able to use it on the inside. I take my Tombow multi glue here, the detailed one, and then I'm adding all of these little wee pieces of evergreen all over. And I want to just make sure, see on the top there, that that line is covered, so that it gives the illusion that this paper comes all the way over and the window is seated inside, and then you have the partial die cutting, fussy cutting actually, onto the image on the outside of the window panel. I'm adding a little bit more of the snow weaved in and out because a little bit of it got flattened, and I want to make sure it's nice and poofy. And so I'll add that, and I love this applique. There's all different kinds of the snow products that you can get, but this I think is my favorite when you heat set it with your heat tool. So look at, I'm just adding along the bottom, and then I will proceed to put these leaves over top. And it's amazing, if you have your heat tool set hot, you can quickly go over the acetate and make your snow puffy without affecting the acetate. Plus I use a nice thick acetate I get at the stationery store, so it is nice and firm. It doesn't affect it when you add heat. And then I'm going to take off that little wee piece right there. I don't know if you see it. I'm putting some glue dots behind the window to make sure it looks like it's seated way back in. You get that, you know, nice look of 3D sort of. And here we go. It's important right here that I take the glue and I cover that line right there. And that's what makes it look so cute. It looks like you've, people are going to be wondering, how, that doesn't look like she's fussy cut all the way, because her feet are right planted on the paper, but yet the wreath and part of her dress are on the outside of the window. Then you have that cute little birdhouse on the inside. You could actually add a piece of paper there if you want to look like wallpaper behind the window. That's a nice effect too. You could raise it up like you're going to do a shaker card here. Here I was thinking I was going to put ribbon, but way too much. I took that off. I removed this little evergreen leaf to make it nice and plain. No, Carol, you don't want that. Yes, just too much. Too much, too much. Yes, 3 times too much. And yeah, I'm just going to leave that nice and clean. Then I had another piece of foiled paper that I'm going to die cut the Merry Christmas for the inside. And look at that. I mean, easy peasy. It's such a nice look. Notice on the upper right portion of the window, I did add snow to the frame so that there, you know, it just wasn't falling on the inside of your window and on the ground. You need to have some on the top as well, because it's going to fall on the top of the window. So I added it to the right section of the top portion. And now you know I have to have my cardstock thick when you open it up, because it's going to be heavy on the front. So I want the inside of my card to be nice and heavy to the base. So I cut a piece to put on when you open up the card. This is my 110 pound cream color from Michaels. So ultra thick. I love this paper. You can get it in cream, black, and white. And like I said, it's 110, but as thick as can be. It matches up to my 140 pretty close in poundage and thickness. I just love it. I'm making my own card base like I always do, adding a 1/4 inch to the top. I'm going to score it fold it over and add some 1/4-inch double-sided tape. This way, because the measurement is 6 1/4 by 7 3/4 for the total card, I always have to make my own card base to seat the panels on. And now I'm adding the double-sided tape. I've already taken my Teflon bone folder, which I love. I get a lot of questions about that, and that is because it doesn't add any of that shiny to it when you're putting pressure to the cardstock. Sometimes you can get that little bit of shine, and it prevents that. Now I'm going to seat this image on there. Be careful when I pat it down, remembering I do have snow on there, that applique. And I take my ATG 1/2 inch gun. I like this because I use the gold tape. I find that stickier than the normal one, and I get that at Michael's, and I use my coupon because it is a little pricey. I'm making sure that it's all even on all sides when I place this down. And there you have it. I open it up. I add my panel to the inside to make it nice and thick so that the top portion matches the thickness of the bottom. I thought of putting a little bit of red, but then I thought, no, I have enough going on in the front of the card. I'm just going to add the cream color 110-pound cardstock. And this, like I said, is at Michael's. You use your coupon. I think it's just $9.99 for 100 sheets of the 110-pound. And use your coupon. It's a really good deal. And the black in the 110 is much thicker than the cream and the white for some reason. I add my ATG glue runner, and I'm going to place that on the inside, leaving a little edge around it. And look at that. Isn't that nice? And then I took my piece of foil that I already minked. I take it to the stationery store. I get them to laser it black. Then I add my Heidi Swap foil. I was thinking of using this little wee small Merry Christmas, and I thought, nope, this card is big. So you have to go big. So I grabbed my foil here in the, it's kind of a bronze, and I ran it through my die cutting machine, which was the Vagabond. It says Merry Christmas. Love this die. It's all one. It cuts it out. There's so many things, possibilities you can use, because the Merry in the Christmas, the guts come out of it and you just have the frame. So yeah, there's a lot you could do with that. So anyway, I put that down with my Tombow Mono Multi. If I was thinking, I would have used Stick It, but I wasn't. So I just added the glue, easy peasy, not too bad, and put it around the edges, and you have your Merry Christmas to this card. I hope you give it a try. I really like doing this partial fussy cutting style of a card. And thank you very much for joining me as always. I appreciate my subscribers, my new subscribers, and I'm moving forward with my album giveaway. And I'll leave a link to that so that you can enter if you like. I take my T-square ruler, making sure that this is perfectly even. And of course, you know I'm going to grab my shirt tail right here, and I'm going to take the glue off. Oh yeah, look at that. Take care, everybody. Have a great week.